Welcome to You Are History, Ohio Edition, a captivating series of interviews that spotlight the influential voices and impactful stories of Black leaders hailing from the vibrant state of Ohio. In this exclusive series, we delve into the lives, achievements, and experiences of trailblazing individuals who leave an indelible mark on their communities and beyond. Through engaging conversations and profound insights, we uncover these exceptional Ohio-based influencers' unique perspectives, challenges, and triumphs, showcasing the dynamic contributions of Black excellence in the Buckeye State. Join us on this enlightening journey as we honor these remarkable individuals' legacy, resilience, and innovation, affirming that in Ohio, as in the broader tapestry of history, they are not just making history, they are history. Don't forget to like, share, and comment where you're watching.
Well, today I'm so excited that I have, when you talk about Black history in Youngstown in Ohio, and you mentioned Jay Williams, this man comes to mind. And he overcame some things that had never happened before in the city, and he paved the way for what you see today. And he loves the city. He's from the city. His family's here. He loves Ohio. He's from Ohio, and his family's here, and he still comes back, and he does the best he can while he's here, but he takes care of his family somewhere else. And when I tell you that we have people that are impacting the world coming right out of Youngstown, and the Honorable former Jay Williams is that. Good afternoon. How are you?
Tracy, good afternoon. It is great to be with you. Thank you for the invitation. Just a point of clarity so people don't say, well, I thought his family was with him there in Connecticut. So yes, my wife and Sonia and our son Ethan and my mother are here. We obviously do still have lots of family back in Youngstown, in other parts of Ohio. My sister's in Cleveland. So it is good to call Youngstown home at all times, but we're certainly enjoying our time here in Hartford, Connecticut.
Hartford, Connecticut. What? Hartford, Connecticut. What? Whoa. See,
we live in West Hartford, but my office is in Hartford. So the community foundation that I had covers actually 29 towns in central Connecticut.
Well, see, that's why we need to talk. Because if you listen to the word on the street, we'll have you everywhere else but where you are.
There are some people who I spoke to who still thought I was in D.C.
That's what I'm saying.
That ended with the Obama administration. So we moved here from D.C. area in July of 2017. So it's going on 7 years here now.
Wow. What year were you mayor? What year did you win for mayor? What year
I was elected in 2005. So
has it been that long?
It has been that long. It is amazing. When they just had a mayoral election here, and I was asked to be co-chair of the mayor's transition committee, and I also was the MC at his inaugural ball, and it immediately brought back memories. I was sharing with Sonia that it had been 18 years, which is amazing to me. 2005, that was 18 years ago when I was elected. So I served, I took office January 1st, 2006. I was reelected and was in my second year of my second term when I was asked to join the Obama administration. But it was 18 years ago. It was sobering but also very fond memories.
That's really kind of strange because I'm only 18 years old.
I know, Tracy. Somehow time has stopped for you. You haven't aged today since that historic campaign. So kudos to you. You found the fountain of youth, apparently.
I found Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. I got to keep it real where it is. Thank you, Jesus. He's a keeper.
He's a keeper.
So, we know a lot about the public J, and we think we know a lot about the private J. But then there is a Jay Williams that is a Black man who's a father, who's made history and is still making history. And we have a community now that at one time we would all be connected because we were landlocked. We were stuck. We're no longer stuck. What do we need to know about life post-mayor?
I think, first of all, as you described, I am a Black man. I'm a father, a husband, a son, a brother, an uncle, a nephew, all of those things. And, I think that my personal life and experiences, my professional trajectory continue to be shaped by Youngstown. I describe people as being, forged in a steel town that had its positive attributes and certainly had its problems and its challenges. But I find myself with a certain degree of regularity still referring back to the experiences in Youngstown that shaped me. Hopefully more of them shaped me for the better than the worse. I've got my own, idiosyncrasies and faults and shortcomings. But even during my time in DC, I tell people that the cachet or credibility, if I can use that term, very generically, wasn't because I was, working in Washington, D.C., and it certainly was a privilege and an honor to be a part of the Obama administration. But my connection to people came when I said I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. There is very rarely a place I went across this country that there wasn't some connection or some story or somebody had a relative or passed through Youngstown, Ohio, even internationally. The same thing holds true here, that there are a lot of similarities between Hartford and Youngstown and the greater Hartford region and the Mahoning Valley. So, that's the first thing that I say is that, my experiences in Youngstown continue to benefit me. They continue to, to a certain extent, shape my worldview. That being said, I also appreciate having had the opportunity to travel the country, to live in other places and to compare and contrast and try to bring the best of myself and the things that I was able to garner in Youngstown to the communities that I'm living in and serving in now.
And so, because when we leave and we grow, I'm looking through my life, and we reflect, and it's like, wow, I've met a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I was influenced by a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
and Black history is in real time, and I don't think we realize that. I mean, when I met you at Mount Calvary, I never knew you'd be the first mayor. I never knew you would be a car czar. I never knew that you would be. You understand? So that's history.
It is. I didn't know those things either. Always, felt, from starting with my parents, a call to serve, to be meaningful in whatever venue that I was going to ultimately end up in. And I did not know that. I started my career in banking and thought I would spend a good part of my career there. But as you pointed out, there are pathways and callings that you may not be aware of in your younger years. But ultimately, my goal was to be in a place to be able to be used by God. And when you talk about history, also, it becomes even more relevant, at least to me, having a son now who is 13 years old. You're remembering when he was born. When I served mayor, he wasn't born until 2010. So I only had one more year in office. I didn't know at the time that I'd be leaving. But even now, talking to him about Youngstown and the history of where he and his mother, myself and his mother have come from, and getting a chuckle out of him discovering that dad had a few things under his belt before Ethan came along, and as he Googles, I'll say something to him and he'll Google it. I'll say, well, Google it, and to see sort of his smirk when he realizes dad had done a couple of things before Ethan came and consumed the world of Sonia and I as he does now.
Isn't that amazing?
It is.
That there's a life before we're born. And there's a life. I mean, seriously, our parents, and this is what this is about, because we don't realize how many lives we have.
Right.
And sometimes those lives get skipped over and you kind of miss them, and then they come back in. It's like, wow.
And appreciating, again, the history of, my family. I tell people to this day that very few people knew who I was running for mayor. I was,
Jay who?
Going door to door, but they said, I don't know you, but I know your people. Oh, you're Julia Alexander's grandson. Oh, that's good enough for me. Oh, you're Geraldine Lacey's, Eisenhower Lacey, Williams' grandson.
Slow down, Jay. Got to slow you down here. You can't just mention the names. So tell us who your mom and dad. Tell us who they are, and your grandparents.
Yeah. So my mother and father, Ronald and Mary Williams. My father passed away last year. My mother, Mary Williams, and my maternal grandparents were Rudell and Julia Alexander. My paternal grandparents, Roy Williams, was my grandfather who passed away before I was born, and that's where I got my first name. And then Geraldine, Eisenhower, Lacey Williams was my grandmother. So my grandparents are deceased, and again, my father is, but my aunts and uncles and again, elder relatives, it was because of their work or their reputation that there were a number of people who said, well, I don't know you, but I know your people. I know the stock that you come from. And as a result, I'm willing to put my trust in you to lead this city. And it just really humbled me. And it is something that Sonia and I both try to share with Ethan, not just we as his parents, but the stock and the lineage that he comes from, the cousins and the aunts and the uncles, and the grandparents and the great grandparents and farther back that he has. And when you talk about appreciating that, we should do that every day, but certainly Black History Month is a significant opportunity for us to appreciate that, because like you said, Black history is not just about what happens in February, and it's not just about Black history. It's a part of the American experience, but we know that it was important and essential to lift it up, because if left to others, our history would not be told or respected or valued as a part of this country's experience in the way that it absolutely has been from day one.
What shocked you as mayor? When you got in and because it's almost like being married. Honeymoon, great. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is what marriage is. When did you stop and say, mayor?
Yeah, I'm not sure what shocked me. I mean, I had been in Youngstown virtually all my life. I had been around City Hall, worked for the city for 5 years before becoming mayor. So I knew a lot of the ins and the outs. I don't know. I think there was just this appreciation for the gravity of the responsibility. I think, I took a lot of things that were wrong with the city to heart. I took them personally. And again, that's just, I think the nature, at least part of my personality, is things that had existed in the city for, well before I was born, for decades. When I became mayor, I felt a sense of obligation and responsibility. And you have to balance that, because I certainly welcome that. But I had to, I think, realize that problems and issues that were decades in the making weren't going to be resolved, in 1 or 2 mayoral terms. So balancing that, being both ambitious and pragmatic, navigating the political dynamics that you have to navigate in any city, but certainly a city like Youngstown. So, it was an experience that I would not trade for anything in the world. So I think, less shock and more just an opportunity to balance the awesome responsibility of being mayor with, the ambition and the when I say the ambition, not my personal ambition, but the ambitions that I always harbored for Youngstown.
So what shocked? Just as a person, because when you get to you left Youngstown, went to the White House. What surprised you in D.C.?
So what surprised me in DC was that there would be individuals who you would sit in a conference room with or have a meeting with, very prominent, officials who we still see today, who in individual one-on-one conversations, you think, okay, these are reasonable folks. They get it. We can make some progress. But who would tell you that although, I generally agree on this issue, the politics don't work. So therefore, when the cameras are rolling or the reporters are there, they take a completely different position. And, I think that even resonated more after these past several years, that a lot of the folks that, this isn't, I'm not going to get into a political diatribe here. You can invite me for that when I'm not sitting in my office.
Okay.
But some of those same figures, I saw and interacted with them. And although they might have been on different political ideologies than the administration I served in, there was this belief of their general intellect and commitment to doing ultimately what was in the best interest of the country. And then to see and to hear some of the rhetoric and the actions now, that shocked me because, again, I sat in meetings with some of these individuals. I had conversations with them. And although I knew they perhaps, again, did not agree with, the administration politically or ideologically, there was a belief and a sense that I got that these still, at the end of the day, were decent people who would call right, right, and wrong, wrong. And I think it is shocking to see that for purely political means and ends, that they are willing to, engage in activities that I think are a threat to the fabric of our democracy. So that was shocking to me. And I guess maybe I was naive to think that, that people would go as far as they do in the name of politics, but I don't know. That was shocking to me, having met some of those folks.
Because I look forward to, and I'll have you back on again, and so we can talk about landscape, because we need to educate people on landscape, because what you see reported and how you glean your information is a lot of times misinformation or missing some key ingredients.
Yep, agreed.
And people need to know how to look at what they see now.
And you have to look at it from multiple angles. I mean, we tend to gravitate toward news sources that reinforce our beliefs or our biases, and we tend to dismiss those that come from a different angle. I have for years tried to ensure that I take in, news sources that are maybe aligned with my values and beliefs, but also that run counter to my beliefs, so I can try to be well-rounded. I think it's important to understand where the people from different perspectives are coming from. So I think that's the thing too, not just reinforcing in an echo chamber. So and it is increasingly easier to just fall back to those sources that reaffirm your own beliefs and charge you up or get you comforted, and less people are less inclined to listen to sources, or at least take in sources that challenge that. And even in doing that, to your point, Tracy, you have to do it with a bit of scrutiny. You can't just take things at face value. And with social media, that has become such a pervasive and dangerous trend when, I hear, and again, I don't know how valid it is, but there are so many people who get their news from TikTok and from, platforms that are rife with dis and misinformation.
Well, I think that it's because all information now is just blurred. And it's been doing that for years. They've been doing it, and it's just plain old water for the most part.
Mhm.
And we have to get back to telling the truth and the facts.
And you have to work at it, right? So, but as consumers of that, we have to work and do our civic duty to weed through, what is presented to us, and not accept because it's coming from someone who sounds authoritative or who has a platform or who has so many followers that it is valid and correct. I just go back to this notion of a phrase that came up a few years ago, like there are no alternative facts. There are facts. You can
It is what it
disagree
is.
with them, but you don't get to have a set of alternative facts. I mean, that's.
But that was just a bad statement.
Well, it was an asinine statement, but it was presented as a rational alternative to, well, if you don't like this, let me present this other side, which can be an opinion, but you can't have two sets of facts. So I'd love to. I welcome that debate discussion.
We will do that. We will do that, because we go right now. This is Black History. We going forward. I'm back on my wheels, but I'm laying low. Y'all don't know how to lay low. You understand? I'm doing so many interviews, and people I'm doing legacy work.
Good.
Legacy work. I'm trying to become like Jay Williams. See, I ran for mayor because I thought I could be Jay Williams, and they said, no, we're going to whip your tail. So, since I can't be Jay Williams.
There's also, I'm sure Sonia and a whole host of others would tell you why you want to be the better 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 version.
Listen here, the only thing is because you made it look so easy. And I want to, I owe you an apology because I had messed up my calendar.
No problem.
And I want you to come back. So we have to do this again, because the world needs to hear these conversations, and they need to be engaged in it so that they can begin to understand the critically thinking of the world that we're in.
Listen, I would welcome that, and we'll do it in a venue where I can be.
We can do fun. We can have fun. We'll do fun.
Free.
We'll lay back. Yeah.
We can talk politics. We can talk current state of affairs, and I'll do it where I'm not sitting in my nonprofit office.
That's right. We're not doing that. But we'll say this: I appreciate your time, your sacrifice. I did not realize what it meant to be mayor until I ran for mayor. And even when you lose for mayor, that changes your life.
It does.
Forever.
It does. I said I told Sonia the night of the election, whether I won or lost, I was going to be a changed and better person as a result of the experience. You're absolutely right.
That's right. And you change. Everything about you changes, but you don't understand the impact of people until you run.
I completely agree with you. That was it. That was it. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Some of those things did shock me. That was something that shocked me during a campaign, but we'll talk more about that.
So listen, thanks a lot, Jay.
Absolutely, Tracy. It was good talking to you, and look forward to another conversation.
See you in a minute.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We extend our heartfelt gratitude to each viewer who has joined us on this journey through your history. Suppose you have found inspiration, insight, and connection in the stories shared by our remarkable guests. In that case, we invite you to consider supporting the continuation of community programming like this through a donation. Your contribution will help us amplify diverse voices, celebrate rich histories, and foster meaningful dialogue that uplifts and unites us all. We also extend a special thank you to our sponsors, whose generous support has made this series possible. May your history continue to resonate in your hearts and minds, inspiring you to embrace the beauty of diversity and the power of unity. Thank you for being a part of this transformative journey, and we look forward to welcoming you back for more engaging and enlightening content in the future. Don't forget to like and share this video, subscribe to this channel, and give God the glory.